Welcome to my first impression of The Witch and the Hundred Knight. And to be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about this game. I've only spent a couple hours with it, but it leaves me with rather mixed feelings, to say the least. Not in the combat, but in the story itself. The combat actually isn't that bad. It seems to have quite a bit of depth to it, though I do have a few hang-ups. Not how you can chain weapon attacks together, different kinds of weapon attacks together, or that there's numbers attached to them, like one in the Destiny die roll. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you put them in order, you can chain attacks to make an attack. The final attack have double the attack power. That's sort of interesting. And then there's facets and stuff to explore too, which I just unlocked. So I haven't really gotten to play around with them just yet much. The real issue is in the story itself. The story is just very, very curse heavy. I mean, if you are uncomfortable around curse words and don't like seeing people drop F-bombs out on a regular basis, this probably isn't going to be the game for you, because they don't censor the swearing all that well. In fact, I think they tried to push the limit of what you can get away with when it comes to censoring it. I guess they succeeded, but I don't know if that's much of a compliment. It makes me wonder how this game somehow managed to squeak by with a teen rating. I think this game almost should be rated M for the language content alone. There's also, even within the first, well, I've only gotten through the first act or so. I got through Act 1 of the first chapter. And there's some implied rape as well, so if you don't like female characters being threatened with rape or it being implied, I would also say stay away from this game. And even if you're willing to just overlook that as the character you're taking orders from being a villain, and they're, well, a villainess, I guess, if you want to go really gender technical, is evil. I don't know if that's gonna help you swallow what she's doing that much. It can make me a bit uncomfortable watching it. And I've dealt with some pretty strange games in the past. It leaves a sort of bad aftertaste in your mouth when you see that sort of stuff going on. I'm just not sure if Nippon Ichi Software was making the right decision writing the plot like that, or if it's something the English translators added in, but something tells me that it may have been in the original game, or something similar was in the original game already. I mean, I'm not sure how close the translation is, but I'm thinking it's probably close. I also don't think the game does a good job explaining certain aspects of the game to you, either. The biggest issue is how to use items. I actually had to pull out the instruction manual to look it up, to find out that you have to hold down one of the shoulder buttons to pull up your inventory so you actually can use items, because you can't go into your menu, then access the items area, and then use items. You can only sort them and stuff in there, which doesn't make any sense. Why can't I just use it from the menu? Because when you pull up the item menu, it pauses the game. And to pull it up, you have to use the L2 button, which refers to itself on the control guide as an item shortcut menu, but you can't use the items from the in-game menu if you pause it. And I guess I am starting to feel really tired, so I'm apologizing for all the yawning. As far as another aspect of the game that I guess is really sort of just annoying, it would be annoying in any game, is that the game limits how long you have to explore areas. Well, it offers you ways to extend that time, but those extensions could be used for other things. Like when you defeat enemies in an area, you earn grade points, and you can spend those to temporarily boost your character's stats while he's exploring the field, so you can give him more HP or attack power or defense or points to use special skills and so on. Or you can use them to get a higher bonus upgrade, but you're going to score points by killing enemies, and if you're running around killing everything in sight, you're bound to probably get to the highest reward possible. Jeez. maybe I won't be watching the movie or whatever after this. I might just go to bed. Yeah, you get grade points by defeating enemies and stuff, which you can then spend only in the field. You can't keep them if you leave the field. So you're gonna want to use them effectively and sparingly, I guess. Another aspect of the game that's sort of a bit iffy, I guess, is how Gigacals are spent while you're exploring. Yes, they call the energy you burn through exploring areas Gigacals. I guess it's meant to represent calories or something. Actually, I think it does say it represents calories, so yeah. When you're exploring an unexplored area, when you first enter an area, it eats up lots of Gigacals as you reveal the map. I mean lots of them, so if you're trying to enter a new area, you may not be able to spend points before the boss fight to upgrade your stats that much, and may spend most of your points just trying to keep your Gigacals high enough so you can actually finish the area without having to leave. I don't know if I really recommend either doing that or just choosing to spend the extra time entering and leaving an area. Because if you leave an area through the pillars they have spread throughout the levels, you can go back to your base, then return to that area, and the area you've explored will remain visible, so you can then go backtrack to where you were for less Gigacals than it costs to get there the first time. So you may actually recommend leaving an area 2 or 3 times. Another thing to notice is that as you enter new areas, enemies will be put at your level as long as the boss fight for that area is the current boss fight you're working towards. So it's possible to grind out experience very easily, I guess. But at the same time, you don't. The experience doesn't get placed on your character automatically. It's not applied until you leave the area. Yeah, sorry about this. I'll be yawning, I mean. So, I'm not exactly sure, like I said, if you're better off using your Gigacals to, well, your grade points to give yourself more Gigacals so you can continue exploring an area and get it done sooner, or backtrack and come back to a warp point. I guess you can also pick up Gigacals by consuming enemies, but you have to have such fast button presses to do it that it's not gonna happen. You may miss it, because I've killed most enemies, and by the time I realized that they had consumable on them so you could actually get some Gigacals out of them, their body was completely annihilated. And I guess if we're gonna talk about that, there's one issue with the fighting system that sort of bugs me for this action RPG. The controls aren't super responsive. If you press in a bunch of button presses, you can't cancel them out by then putting up the guard or whatnot. So if you hit the button to attack 5 times, you've dedicated yourself to attacking 5 times, and you can't stop the guard, which can be problematic in boss fights because you can make yourself utterly helpless before them. Another slight issue might be that early on you're very, very strapped for cash like usual. I guess you can exchange anima, which are the souls of the enemies you defeat. Well, anima are rarely dropped, but you can exchange them for shells if you want to. But do you want to? That's the question. I mean, there's other things you can spend them on. So you gotta consider your options there as well. As far as recommending the game goes, I'm not sure if I would recommend it. Maybe if I get through the story mode and I see something redeemable about it, I might be more willing to recommend it, but with all the swearing and implied rape right off the get-go, it doesn't start out on the right foot if you're not looking for very juvenile humor and can overlook the very, very questionable... Actually, I wouldn't even say it's very questionable. The just outright bad idea of implying that rape's happening in the game. It's just not a good thing to have attached to your game at all. If you can overlook it, or take it in stride, I guess, and just try to ignore that stuff, it might work better. I don't know. I've been told there's multiple references to it, so it's not like it's just going to be in the first chapter alone. It's going to happen again, at least twice more than I've heard. If we're talking about this game purely on combat stuff, yeah, I could probably recommend it, but the story elements, with all the cursing and implied rape, as I said, it just, this game really pushes an M rating. In fact, it should have been rated M, and even then, I question why it was brought over if there's so much undertone of unacceptable behavior in it. I guess that's all I got to say. I was planning on getting in a movie review, watching a movie, not getting a movie review in, and trying to get a little more work done for my Bleach the Third Phantom review, because I still need to advance the game forward a bit, because I was trying to replay it again for a review, but I beat it before. And I can probably do the review even without repeating the game, but there's certain stuff I want to capture first. So, yeah, until next time.